You have heard that it was said, "You shall not commit adultery." But I tell you that anyone who looks at a woman lustfully has already committed adultery with her in his heart. If your right eye causes you to stumble, gouge it out and throw it away. It is better for you to lose one part of your body than for your whole body to be thrown into hell. And if your right hand causes you to stumble, cut it off and throw it away. It is better for you to lose one part of your body than for your whole body to go into hell. It has been said, anyone who divorces his wife must give her a certificate of divorce. But I tell you that anyone who divorces his wife, except for sexual immorality, makes her the victim of adultery. And anyone who marries a divorced woman commits adultery.
What does it mean to be a Christian in today's world? Does Jesus really expect us to be perfect? Is everyone who looks at someone with desire truly condemned to eternal damnation? Or is there something deeper, something we don't see at first glance? Let's admit it. How many times have we thought that these words are too harsh, that Jesus is exaggerating? After all, we live in a world where flirtatious glances and innocent flirting are commonplace, and moral boundaries are constantly being pushed. We might say it's part of human nature, something unavoidable. But this is where the core message lies. Jesus doesn't say this to condemn us, but to free us. To free us from the bondage of sin that begins in the heart. Isn't it ironic? It seems that the world offers us freedom in fulfilling all desires, but Jesus points to a different path, a path of freedom through the purity of heart. In the 11th chapter of Ecclesiastes, we read, "Rejoice, young man, during your childhood, and let your heart be pleasant during the days of young manhood. And follow the impulses of your heart and the desires of your eyes. Yet know that God will bring you to judgment for all these things." This is a call to joy, but also to responsibility for our actions and desires. So how do we work on our Christian maturity and avoid harming others? First of all, we must start with ourselves. Through the Apostle Luke, in the 6th chapter of his Gospel, Jesus says, "The good man out of the good treasure of his heart brings forth what is good, and the evil man out of the evil treasure brings forth what is evil, for his mouth speaks from that which fills his heart." What we carry in our hearts will eventually manifest in our actions and words. Therefore, we must care for the purity of our hearts, filling them with God's love, and avoiding all temptations that can pull us away from that love. Imagine we are in a restaurant. On the table next to us is a dessert we didn't order, but it looks delicious. Even though we are full, our eyes keep wandering to that dessert. We think, maybe just one bite? But Jesus says, don't even look at that dessert if you know you shouldn't eat it. This sounds absurd, doesn't it? But it's not about the dessert. It's about our spiritual health in the purity of our hearts. Our heart is a battlefield where the fight between good and evil takes place daily. What happens there shapes our lives, our relationships, and our future in eternity. Jesus doesn't want us to live in constant fear of sin, but to understand that true freedom lies in the purity of heart. Does this mean we should avoid all pleasures and live in asceticism? No. Jesus doesn't ask us to renounce the joys of life, but to view life through the perspective of His Word in our hearts. To love purely and selflessly, not selfishly and lustfully. So how do we work on our Christian maturity and avoid harming others with our desires? We must start with ourselves. We should constantly organize our thoughts and sort out our desires. Every day, we should ask ourselves if what we intend to do aligns with God's will. Do my looks, thoughts, and actions bring me closer to God or drive me away? Let's not deceive ourselves. Even innocent flirting can be the beginning of foreplay. It's good in marriage, but wrong outside of it. Let's conclude with the words of the 5th chapter of Ephesians. Therefore, be imitators of God as beloved children, and walk in love, just as Christ also loved you and gave himself up for us, an offering and a sacrifice to God as a fragrant aroma. Let these words inspire us to live a life full of love and purity. Remember, Jesus doesn't expect us to be perfect, but to have a heart that seeks his love and strives daily to live according to his teachings. May God bless us all.